Hello! And thanks for joining us round the table. We're here at Ruby's and she's got a new studio.
And
With
it's
lots of magic
lovely.
light coming in, and it just feels lovely that there's blue sky outside.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Hallelujah.
It's
Made
just
a
blue
difference.
sky. And I was driving here, because it takes about 30 minutes to drive here. I just kept thinking, it changes your whole state of
Yeah.
mind, your outlook, your perception of the day.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And yesterday I went out and it was completely grey and it rained all day.
Oh, it poured
yesterday.
down,
Yeah.
didn't it?
So today to come out and be in the sunshine was like,
I
Yeah.
love it up here because we're up a level.
Yeah.
It's light.
Yeah.
Like I know it's a sunny day today, but it's always light in here.
So for your artwork
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because a friend
It's
said, "Are you
nice.
going to paint all the walls like pink?" I said, "No, I want to keep them white because it's
Yeah.
so light." Yeah,
It's a lovely
it was
space.
wasted on a bedroom, wasn't it? Because you're asleep at the night. So, yeah.
And not in it during the day.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Good.
Well, I got excited with the sunshine because, well, I heard the birds for the first time with the dawn chorus this morning, so that was so lovely. And it's like the bird song's changed, and it's nice. I've noticed that over the years where the bird song gets slightly different, and it's like they mark the change in seasons a little bit. That could just be me, but and then I'm very excited because I can dry my washing outside for the first time and actually not have to bring it in and like air it for ages. It like get out, comes in, it smells lovely, it's all the sunshine. So
Wow,
I get
you've already
very
pegged
excited.
out?
Oh god, yeah, I've been doing that all winter.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Solidly all the time, and sometimes it gets wet again, then dry, and then wet, and then dry, and then mostly it just takes days to dry, and then I get it almost dry and then bring it in and drape it over all the doors and everything like that.
Right.
So my house is like a Chinese laundry. So but now I can just put it outside, bring it in, and it's all done. So that was on Saturday, so I was like,
Wow.
draped it.
It was
So-
a good day on Saturday, wasn't it?
it was
A
lovely.
nice weather day.
So I get really excited by that, and I have done for years.
The little things. It's
the
always
little things.
It's definitely the little things. And just the fact that the sky is blue is amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't pegged out yet.
And
I wouldn't do it until probably late March.
okay. Yeah. I won't either because I
Yeah.
can't be bothered to
No, bringing it back
re-dry
in,
and
yeah.
no. It all has one place. But also driving here, like I say, I travel on the A6, and all the snowdrops are out, and the daffodils are up, but just not out
Not
yet.
ready.
Yeah, and I've seen
And
the
it's
crocus
normally
as
just
well.
that sea of yellow.
Oh,
as
it's
you come
lovely.
in.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
lovely along there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It always mystifies me how they manage to always point towards the road, and I wonder how that happens. So they always seem to point in one direction.
that's funny,
so
isn't
you'll be looking out for
Is that
next
saying
Yeah.
about sunflowers that they always face
time.
the sun, but apparently it's not true.
I don't know if it's something that it's like, because along that particular stretch, it's got a hedge behind it, and I wonder if it's a shade thing that it points towards the light, perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know. Any keen botanists out there can answer that before
Why
I
do
go to Google.
daffodils face the road?
Yeah.
I
Why do
don't
they
think
always
they
face
all
the
do,
right way?
though. I think some of them don't, but I'm not
I
sure.
don't know.
We'll have to
I
find a
think they
patch
are
of daffodils
lovely.
in a park to do a
Yeah.
random control
I was
test.
thinking we do need another photo shoot, and we do
Yeah.
need some sort of spring
Spring
bulby.
one.
Maybe
Yeah.
we need to plan a bluebelly wood one.
Yes.
Yes.
Calder
That's
Vale's
May,
meant
yeah.
to be.
Yes, yeah.
Gorgeous.
So just bear
bluebells.
that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love
So
it.
what's exciting you about the change in season? What is it that you notice maybe the most or the first in that change in season? We'd love to know from you what floats your boat about spring.
Yeah.
For me, it's just the blue sky. Coming from Africa, you just look out and it's just blue as long as you can see. And so that as soon as I can see blue sky, I'm happy again.
It does do something to you, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It is.
definitely.
Mine's the flowers, I think. the snowdrops, the crocuses, the daffodils. You know you're on the way.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah. The
yeah,
bluebells,
definitely
then the
fun. Yeah.
and I've got bluebells, but I've also got pink and white bells, and they're so pretty. They're really pretty.
Nice.
So I love those.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, and we were thinking as well, obviously March is all about Astara. We've got the grimoire pages ready for our Patreons and looking into things, and this is like a time of renewal and a time of rebirthing. But also I think that energetically it feels like a time of coming together, because don't people get together over Easter weekend? Well, we certainly do in South Africa. Everyone has a Easter weekend is a big family weekend, and we have braais, barbecues. So the whole family will come. Everyone will bring meat and salad, and Sunday is a big barbecue together, and everyone just chilling outside. So it's a big time for gathering, family especially.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So do you have anything like that?
No.
Not as such. I haven't really.
When I
we
was a
get together
kid,
as a family, but yeah.
yeah, when I
not
was a
as
kid and we were Christian, they did, because obviously they
Same.
robbed it, didn't they, and pretended it was Jesus. So they did all that. But yeah, we don't, nothing to do with it now.
Yeah. So you don't sort of still gather, no.
No, I don't gather most times, Cindy, with the
True.
family.
But you can have other family.
Yeah. No.
It doesn't need to be your blood family. It can be your other family, and that's what we are here: is a family of women,
Yeah.
a community of women, and that's really feeling stronger and stronger and stronger for me. Is that we need to get together. We need to gather together.
So do you do anything for Easter? Or did
No,
you?
we used to do Easter egg hunts round at my mum's and things for the kids, and we got the benefit of the chocolate. So I have thought of it for a while. I think the Japanese translation for this time of year is like Happy Annual Egg-Shaped Chocolate Day, and I'm like, that's how I refer to it.
Oh, the cherry
it's
blossoms.
all about the chocolate. Oh, the sakura,
they all come out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I noticed in the magnolia.
Yeah.
Sorry. For
the
going off on a
magnolia.
tangent.
Yeah, because I used to love going to Preston, because all the way along the A6 there was loads of magnolia trees, and the particular one outside Barton Grange, they have their big magnolia on the side by their, I think it's the exit from the hotel. There's a really lovely one there. But yeah, I love magnolia. I'm just like spotting them all the way along. So I used to go on the double-decker bus and be like, oh, magnolia spotting. So I do miss that.
We
about
have
not
a
going to Preston.
jacaranda.
Oh,
Do you know the jacaranda tree?
Is that the one with the
That
blue
purpley
flowers?
blue flower. Oh, and there's where my dad's family come from is Robertson, which is wine country, and the streets of Robertson, both sides, are just jacaranda tree. So the whole tarmac, the sidewalk, the road is full of flowers. It's purple and it's just absolutely. And then we get in the Namaqualand and in the sort of desert areas, we get these little spring, because we get the spring rain on the desert, and then they come up. Daisies. But they like, we call them vegies. They like succulent type daisies, so they've got fat fleshy leaves, but the colours are super bright and super vibrant, like really pow. And then we've got these all up the west coast of South Africa. We've got these just banks of these, it's just colour. The tourists, literally, people come and see it. just to drive through. Just
Oh,
you can't even describe it. So if you Google it, Namaqualand or spring flowers in South Africa, absolutely gorgeous.
oh, it's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
There was
So we don't have bulbs.
Oh,
So we
do you
don't
not?
have daffodils.
Okay.
I mean, there are people who are official gardener people that will grow them.
Yeah.
But we don't just have them in our gardens or
Like
on
we
the
grow
sides of our-
tropical plants over here
Or
that have been
Yeah.
seeded, I guess. So,
bulbs is like a speciality because they don't have that fluctuation in the season to know when to do what
Yeah.
so bulbs isn't a thing for us.
because they need the cold to set them off,
Yeah.
don't they?
Which is why I think I love them here because they're like, oh my
Yeah.
god, it's a bulb. It was just this thing and now it's that thing. It's
Yeah, that's
So
lovely.
yeah. So from a gardening point of view, I think that's why I like bulbs everywhere. Every
Yeah.
pot, everything has got bulbs.
I've been meaning to do a mandala in my lawn with bulbs
Oh.
because then until you get to the point where you mow the lawn, I thought, if I can put some crocus down and then put them in a design and then snowdrops around them, then you get in this like kind of like slow motion, like explosion of, well, not explosion, it's like I don't know, but just like emerging like bulbs in like different stages and things like that.
nice.
So I've been planning that for some years. I will get round to it one day.
That's a lovely idea.
But yeah, I just love seeing those, like the pops of colour, especially with the. I mean, I love snowdrops; they're so pretty. But just seeing the pops of like that really intense orangey yellow, and then the purple of the crocus are just amazing.
Yeah, it's lovely.
And I've been loving the iris as well, like those deep purple
The Dutch
irises, or
yeah.
the lilies. Irises,
Dutch
yeah. I used to have some. I had to leave them at my old house, but they were beautiful. They were called. I think they were like pixie, and they were about that high. Really cute.
So nice.
So, but yeah.
I've just been out to feed the birds this morning, and our daffodils have just opened. They're just opening. Yeah. So that's nice.
I think it's just that colour.
Yeah,
It just
you
makes you
need
feel
it.
joyful.
Yeah,
Because
you
it's
do.
been grey and bleak.
Yes.
Yeah, and
It's like a
dull
little
as
bit of
anything.
sunshine.
Yeah.
And when you get the first dandelions coming through as
Oh,
well,
yeah.
because I used to think, dandelions, but now I know about dandelions. I'm like, yay, dandelions! They just come out like little pops of sunshines all over the place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're lovely.
So this year I'm definitely making my dandelion marmalade.
That'll be nice. We made dandelion coffee once. It was
You can just
disgusting.
put it in honey as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, dandelion honey. That's really nice.
That's easy to do.
Yeah. I've been watching, talking of colour, I've been watching Brazilian artists. I'm obsessed. They're so colourful, but they're so happy. Like, they're just, everything's so happy. And Tom said, it's the sun and the blue sky. Like, they're permanently in that thing. Like, and it does lift your mood.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's
And-
like the music as well. It's like so like vibrant and uplifting,
yeah.
and it's like carnival
Oh
constantly.
my God,
Isn't it?
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I'd move there. I'd move there, it'd be so good. Because when you look out and it's like rainy, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's dull.
It really does.
Yeah.
Makes you want chips.
Yeah, it does. And the
I've
blanket.
had such a bad week.
Yeah.
I think we've tried every kind of takeaway that there is. Last week, really bad.
What's your favourite takeaway?
I'm not really a takeaway person.
Okay.
In fact, I would never just buy a takeaway. I only have a takeaway as a social thing. But if we were getting a takeaway, my favourite takeaway is a pizza.
Okay. What about you, Aisha?
I love pizza.
Ooh. Well, this is a big question. But yeah, the takeaway's a bit of a treat now. So we have started doing Friday fakeaways because it was like frozen pizza Fridays because my son is pizza obsessed. But now we've had with Chinese New Year we made like a bit of a Chinese feast at home. And so I was like, and then I made a stir fry on Friday, and and lemon sauce. My daughter has absolutely aced lemon sauce, and when I because I now don't eat meat as much, then now I miss lemon chicken if we get a takeaway. So we found these tofu bites, and we've also done it with corn nuggets as well. She makes this really lovely lemon sauce, so we had that on Friday, and we're like, let's do Friday fakeaways from now on. So saving money, but also doing things that are healthy. We know where they come from, and a bit better vegetarian choices certainly. So
That's cool.
but yeah, favourite one. Oh, that's a really
Nothing
tough
beats
one.
fish and chips though. If
I know.
you're going to the seaside, remember us in Morecambe
Yeah,
on that bench.
Oh,
those chips
Chippy.
were really good. And the chippy around the corner
Yeah.
from me does chips the way I like them, like soft. So, which not a lot of people like. The people usually prefer crispy, but I like quite soft chips
yeah.
with lots of vinegar.
I knew you were going to say that. Soggy with vinegar.
Yeah.
Proper love
No
it with
vinegar.
mushy
Salt, no
peas.
vinegar. Mushy peas and curry sauce.
Yeah.
Jamie's
Curry
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 sauce.
sauce.
I think I love Chinese because I worked in a Chinese when I was 14 and 15, and they used to take me penny off in the morning. Well, I'd take it off at
Sorry,
night.
I'm laughing because I can't believe we've gone on to takeaways.
And in the morning, I'd sniff my penny. I'd be like, "Oh, I'm hungry," because it smelled so good. So I love it Chinese, but I do love Indian as well. As long as it's not too hot.
Yeah.
Well, I think last
Yeah.
week I had Chinese, Indian, fish and chips.
Yes.
We had pizza. We're decorating in the spare room.
Right.
So the house is upside down and whatnot, which isn't an excuse. Paul's been really busy, so he goes out and does the food shopping. And so we just didn't have anything in, and it was just one of those things because he's been decorating all day.
When
he's
you're
home.
busy, you don't
Yeah,
want to
when he's
cook tea at
home,
the
and
end
then-
of it.
We'd have our tea and go back up and carry on. He's doing the woodwork at the moment. I'm doing some painting. I've just painted my desk. I've just sanded. This is my old desk from when I used to live at home. So from about 16 years old. It's the same desk, and it just gets refurbished.
Wow.
So it's stained like a nice mahogany dark wood, and it's naturally quite dark. But because we've gone with a like a petrol blue wall, I sanded the top down because it's gotten damaged over the years. So I sanded the top down and I've painted it petrol blue. And then I tried a couple of effects on it, and then I went, nope, let's paint it over. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's petrol blue, and the drawers fronts are petrol blue now to match the walls.
Interesting.
So,
Maybe you could rub a bit of gold in or a copper.
well, that's what I'm thinking. I've got some
Yeah.
copper, and
Such a
so
line.
tonight I'm going to do a dry brushing,
yeah.
just on the edges,
Yeah.
some dry brushing. I'll probably do copper and an antique gold.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
So our next filming, hopefully, we'll film in there.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
It's a really nice space, and we won't be so cramped because it's big.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
So yeah, takeaways.
Yeah, takeaways.
Takeaways. How did we get on to takeaways?
Yeah.
No idea.
Easily.
Easily distracted.
Yeah.
But
Comfort food.
let's bring it back because takeaways are so bloody expensive
Oh my
now
gosh, yeah.
compared to what they used to be.
Yeah.
And that brings us to, you was talking, weren't you, earlier, Aisha? So it's the International Women's Day on the 8th of March, and you was talking about community and women coming together. And this is before we started filming. We started having a little chat.
We always
and
do.
then, yeah, and I was like,
And then it's like,
quick film.
we've been talking for an hour. Did you press play?
Yeah. It's just been coming up a few times over the last few months, but like in particular with this, like connecting with women from all over the world, and it's absolutely staggering, like to see the comments and where people are from, and like, you know, near and far, and then there's a few things I've been on where it's been mentioned about gathering the women, and also that community is just becoming more and more important, and we're so separate, and even though we have all this social media which connects us, in a lot of ways it also isolates us and keeps us, because I know a lot of the time when I have to go and see friends, I have to travel a whale because I've connected with them through social media, but they don't live in my immediate area, so I'm having to travel at least half an hour in any direction to go and meet up with people. So I don't know, it just keeps coming up about community and like gathering the women, but creating community in our local areas, and just little things keep popping up for me about that. So I don't know how, if you guys have noticed that at all, or...
I noticed when I sit at the bus station, there's a lot of old people at the bus station, and I get the old granny bus, I call it, because it drops us off at the end of the street. It's brilliant. But at the bus station, everybody's on the phone.
Yeah.
Everybody's on the phone. They're not communicating with each other. They're just like this on the phones. And I sit down and I sit next to the old ladies and stuff, and they're just sat there waiting for the bus. And I think, if this person's got nobody to talk to all day, so I always chat to them about random things. And I've noticed it there. Because I always wear headphones when I'm out, and I'm always got music playing. And then when I'm at the bus stop, I think, I'm going to take my headphones off and have a conversation. So I think that's quite noticeable.
On your women's gathering and that, so end of February there were 7 of us that went to stay in a tree lodge in the woods at the Druids Temple. So we had a mini retreat, and when I've asked for feedback, because I did all sorts of activities, mantra and meditation and movement, and we did all sorts, and natural mandalas creating, and we obviously had an inbox ceremony and whatnot. And the interesting thing was, I had all these events and activities planned, not events, but activities planned for the evenings. But once we sat round the table, we didn't move. We sat, the plan was always like by 6:37 we were going to have our meal together, and one person cooked. So it was 7 women in a very small tree lodge. Space was really cramped. I was sharing a bed with somebody. There were 3 up above us, all. So it was like, night, John boy. And then they just, night. But it felt so lovely, lovely. And there was no electric, so nobody could. You could go and just to the cafe and charge your mobile if you wanted to, but nobody was on their phone doing the endless thing. So there was no electric. We cooked on gas, and we divided the weekend up so that one person cooked each meal, and it was just lovely presenting your meal to everyone and whatnot. Anyway, so the thing that everyone commented on and everyone said in the feedback was that they loved the evenings around, fire was lit, and we were around the table and we just sat and talked. And there was never there was never even a hint of, shall we do something? Because we were just talking, and our conversations went round and round and round. The topics were amazing, the sharing was amazing. People really opened up, people, and talked about stuff. And we didn't always agree. Not everyone always had the same point of view, but it was just lovely to sit around and talk. One of the ladies was like, "Oh, you want me to brush your hair?" Brushing the hair, and I was just like, "Oh, this is how it used to be. This is how it should be." One of the conversations was interesting because we were sitting talking about, I think it was while we were doing the brushing of the hair, and then it got onto what was going to happen when we died. And one woman said, well, she doesn't want some person from a funeral home, generally a male, handling her and doing all sorts of stuff and brushing her hair and that. And we sort of talked this round the table, and all made an agreement that we would be each other's death doulas. Do you know what I mean? Just be there when that person died, to put on their best outfit, put some lippy on them if. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever, or wash the body down.
Yeah.
But women used to do it for women. The community, the older woman, would sit and wail and sit around the body, and I think I'd love that.
Yeah.
I think I'd love people to lay me on a bed of ivy or flowers or something, and I want an old traditional Viking funeral, but that's beside the point. But I'd really like for a group of women to sit around me and just chant. Just the Tibetans do that, and I think it's 49 or 59 days. They chant to lead the soul from the body to the next. There's so many different ways. If you look at all the cultural things and how people do death and how we do death, and I just think I don't want to go into some
freezer somewhere.
Well, okay, so maybe you have to go into a cold room or a freezer or a holding cell or whatever you want to call it. But I wouldn't want strangers to be doing that with my body.
Oh, I've got loads to say about this.
Okay, go.
So, with that, the first thing, there's a really interesting program. And it's in the Welsh language with subtitles, and it's by a Christopher Hughes. He was the leader of the OBOD, the Order of Bards and Druids. If I've got that correct, apologies if I haven't. And he has this program which is Margide Chris. I've been learning Welsh. So that's Death with Chris. And Chris has worked with the coroner of Wales, and so he's experienced that side of like the process, but he's also as part of his druidic work. So he did this program, and it was when we went to see him at the Wirral Pathways. He was going to film this I think he was in Mexico at the time, I could be wrong, but anyway, there's this program.
Right, yes, he was on the screen from Mexico.
Yeah, so he was filming at the time, and so this program goes and visits different cultures, and how they deal with death. And in the first program, he saw how, I've forgotten which country they were in. Apologies again, but they went. Literally, the person had died, and then within the same day they were in the ground. So everybody was called, everybody went round, they went and they were buried, and they had all the ceremony around. Yeah. There were so many different interesting ways that people deal with this around the world that completely different to the way we tend to deal with things in this country. So that's definitely worth a look. It's on it was for S4C, which in England is the Welsh channel. Welsh language channel. So that was really interesting, and I bought his book because he was at the Wirral Pathways that I went to, and I saw him and I was like, hi, and I spoke Welsh to him. I told him I don't like ironing in Welsh, but never mind. But I bought his book, and that was like a pagan view on
what do you like?
What did he say?
I said, he just laughed. It was like, he said, me neither in Welsh either. Oh, it was lovely. And yeah, so his book, The Last Leaf That Falls, that's a pagan view on death, and that's brilliant. So I started reading that at the beginning of autumn, and then I've kind of paused that for a bit. So that's definitely worth looking at. But also, you probably know Edwina as well. She's training to be a funeral celebrant, and as part of that, she had to go and spend some time with undertaker mortician, so in a funeral parlour.
Paul used to work in a funeral home. Yeah,
so she found a lady who offers this in the Todmorden area, I think, and she runs it. It's a female-led practice that she does, and she has a mother and baby room, and it's the way she's trying to change or give a different experience and allow room for a grieving process called keening. So it's like that crying where, you know, it's kind of opposite to that stiff upper lip, like dust yourself off, move on sort of thing. And it's allowing to grieve but also allowing people to be there with the person who's passed and care for them. So if the family want to do that, care for the person and be with them and go through all that process with them, so it's not a clinical separate, this happens over here and you are over here, which I found really interesting because one of my family members, when they passed, they were brought home, and it was part of the Catholic tradition, I believe, that that they were brought home and they were in the dining room, and the family, the family was around, and it was like the family, and I think it's an Irish tradition as well, where they're in the same room with the family, and people come in, and like for a series of a few days, where they come and they sit and they chat and they share memories, and they grieve and they laugh, and
Jewish community do Shiva.
Is that the
Sit in
same?
Shiva, and family. I think the dead person's in the room. I'm not sure. I'll find out. But
I could be wrong with that Celtic thing. It's called awake, isn't it? That's where the idea of awake comes from. But the person is there and present through this process, and I just think it's so lovely. But I'm not. I had a friend who trained as a mortician, and it opened my eyes with some of the things that she said happens as part of the process. And I just thought I'm not, even though in theory I won't be there anymore, but I don't want to be hygienically treated, as it's called, because I do find it a bit jarring that to go in the ground in a varnished box with all that brasswork and all that wood, and then all those chemicals that have been pushed into me, and I just think I just feel like that doesn't sit well with me. And so it's interesting going back round to Christopher, he's went to as part of this thing where they have these mushroom boxes that and then you're composted down, and you become compost, and you go, and there's various different permutations of that fungi where the fungi kind of deal with you and compost you down and things like that. And I like that idea of going back to the earth and causing, I mean, we will pick up toxins as we go through our lives and things like that, but it's not purposefully adding more before you go in the ground. So it's just like being able to go back as much as possible to the earth and just,
as we should, dig me a hole, chuck me in.
I don't want any of that extra stuff, none of it. It's poisoning the earth, isn't it? And if you lived your alive life trying not to poison the earth, why would you want to do it when you was dead? I don't understand it. I read this really lovely story, and it was this man and this lady had some illness. I don't know what it was. She was dying, and they knew she was dying, and he started looking into all the different things. And if somebody dies at home, normally you ring up the ambulance and then they come and and it's out your hands. And he said you didn't have to. Now this is just in our country, in the UK. He was saying that you didn't have to legally do that.
No, you don't. So
him and his daughters planned ahead for what had happened when she died, and they kept her in the bed where it was their bed, and they washed her all down, and they bathed her, and they wrapped her all up, and they kept her for a few days in there while they said the goodbyes and read to her and all this kind of stuff. And then he took her in the back of his car because she was going to be cremated, to the cremation place, and he put her in, and that's they were there every step of the way, and I thought, that's lovely. I mean, I don't know if I'd have the strength to do something like that. If Tom died, I think I'd just be in pieces. So I don't know if I'd have the strength to do that. But I'd want to. But it's whether you had the support around you, I suppose, to do it. But I don't want somebody just coming and going, right, we'll pop you in the freezer and put all weird stuff
we've got that
on
disconnect again. If we were in a community, in like not in our little isolated houses and homes. When that was more, it was it was more the done thing.
Yeah.
It was done.
And
as a
everyone would
community.
come to the hut to pay their respects. There the body was, and it was done as a community, everyone together. And it was done, what I was thinking when you were chatting, my mind was going ting, ting, ting around the place, but we put that body of that person who's passed, I believe it's a transition. We put it on ice, technically, and we go, right, stop. When we're ready, we'll sort you out.
Yeah.
No, I've gone. See ya.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think to respect that person, because to a certain extent, I do believe that we choose a time and a place and a date and a whatever. I like that you die, people say goodbye, you put them in the ground. And I don't believe it should be more than a few days.
Well, it's
know what I mean?
weeks here now, isn't it? 3
Yeah,
weeks.
it can be like 3 weeks,
Yeah.
4 weeks.
It's
You know,
wrong.
But then also
No.
they have these like quick things now where you don't even have to be. They just kind of get rid of you, pop you in the furnace, burn you up. That's it. Done, done, done. And it's all very. It's still very clinical and separate and
Yeah,
sanitised,
sterile.
and it happens over there and you're over here, and you don't even have to deal with it if you don't want
Yeah.
to. But
It's this disconnect that we have with death. It's unpleasant, and so we don't want to see it. We won't
don't
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
I love in Mists of Avalon when they lay Lady of the Lake out, and they've got flowers all around their bodies. They're probably on some big branches or twigs and things, and then they set them alight, and it's just.
That'll be lovely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just outside,
Yeah.
just set them alight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like,
Yeah. Like they used
if
to.
they'd let me.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
I think I don't
Yeah.
know if that is still a practice in some places as well. So, yeah, I mean it's a lot of wood,
Yeah.
It's a lot of wood.
but yeah,
But yeah.
But it's just nice to know that there's kind of people out there who are wanting to
I
just
think
change
people are starting to talk
Yeah.
more
or
about
provide
it. Yeah.
alternatives and
Definitely.
bring it back to also just recognising that need for the grieving process and that that has to happen, and giving the space for that to be felt and I just think it was so lovely to hear about, and I'm not going to say the lady's name in case I get it wrong, because if I'd have known we were going to talk about this, I would have prepared and read up about it. But it's just something that's really
It
kind
came
of
up
moved
around
me
the
and
table
touched
one
me. Yeah,
evening,
yeah.
and we just sort of all talked about it, and it was lovely for everyone to talk about. Talk
it's
about their
community.
concerns, talk about their, their viewpoints and things, and then we literally said, "Do you know what? We should just make a pact that we would would take care of the 7th,
Yeah.
finished."
Mm-hmm.
We're like, okay. What if you're the last one to go though?
Yeah.
Hopefully you've gathered more by then.
Yeah, but really interesting. And this is the time, the death of winter, the birth of spring.
I was thinking,
It's
how
all
have we gone
just-
from like crocuses and like
But it is.
but it is. It's
Yeah,
like the
no, it's
emergence
just-
and it's passing. Yeah,
It's the cycle of life. Death is part of the beautiful cycle
Yeah.
of life.
Yeah.
and
For me.
and, yeah,
And it's a
necessary.
transitional period. It's a transition into something else.
Mhm.
I think as well, I've experienced this. When my dad died, my dad was not really that nice. He was all right sometimes, but he wasn't a nice. You wouldn't say, "Oh, he's a nice man." Do you know what I mean? You just wouldn't. He was funny. He was cocky. He was loud, but he wasn't particularly nice. And I went to the funeral and I had nothing to do with it. It was other people that had arranged it. And I sat there and they were talking about it and I was thinking, I think I've come in the wrong funeral. Like I didn't hear anything about him that was true. And it's
know.
like, it was such a weird feeling. It was bizarre. And I was thinking, why do they do this? Like, why is it a thing of going, oh, let's just say all these good bits or something?
Yeah, let's not speak ill of the dead sort of
Yeah,
thing.
but it's
yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
It's like because I didn't feel like that I could honour him in any way in that process. I was just sat there thinking, what am I listening to? Like, who's told him all this rubbish? It was so weird. Did I tell you the story about his ashes?
You may have.
You may have done. We'll probably get to a point where we go, oh.
So I had his ashes. So it was really weird. I had his ashes in the garden in a tub thing. And
I'd have remembered that.
And I kept thinking, oh, I don't want to scatter him yet. It wasn't an intentional, I'm going to keep him for a certain amount of time. I just was feeling into it, and I thought, I want to do it when I feel like it's ready. And I'm giggling because I know what's coming. And what I realised was, one day I woke up and I was like, today's the day, I'm going to go and scatter my dad. And it had been 7 years since he'd been cremated. And when I was a kid, he left when I was 7. Him and his mum, him and my mum got divorced when I was 7. So it's like I'd kept him for the same amount of time, but not on purpose. It was weird. So because I'd kept him for 7 years, the ashes were a little bit solid, but I didn't know this. So off we toodled to the beach, to the end of the pier, because he used to take me fishing at the end of the pier. And I said to the kids and Tom, I was like, you just stand there, I'm going to take my dad to the sea, I'm going to light a candle, and I'm going to, you just be there and that. And, the candle wouldn't light because it was too windy, because it's at the beach. And I was like, never mind that, it's fine. Undid the lid of the thing, and I just thought, like on the movies, you just open it and he goes, off into the air and into the sea, and thanks, Dad. It wouldn't come out, would it? It got all damp, and it was solid. So it took ages, and I was trying to get it out, and the sea was coming in, and he landed in a big pile, and then he wouldn't disperse, and it was like, oh my God, so I had to kick it all into the sea, and I thought, this is typical. So I ended up in fits of hysteria, but because Tom and the boys were behind me, they thought I was sobbing because my shoulders were like this, and they thought I was really upset. Aww. But I wasn't, and I thought, oh my God. Ridiculous. But I thought that was quite funny, like amusing that.
Yeah, way to break the somberness of the moment.
And go on. He was always daft and cheeky, so it's.
Well, yeah. He obviously wanted to stay there and like.
I don't know. Yeah, it's funny. So don't keep them outside if you're going to keep someone.
My mum's brought me some of my grandmother's ashes in a little box. So I don't know what I want to do with them. Part of me thinks she'd like to go to Glastonbury. So I might take on a girly trip to Glastonbury and do some at the Tor. I did some of my dad's ashes at the Tor. And then another part of me wants to make something like a piece of little jewellery or put it in a little spell jar.
Yeah, and keep her.
So
keep a bit of her.
Yeah, just keep a little bit, not all of it.
I do like that idea of being kind of scattered in special places, and then your what remains of your atoms gets like dispersed into all your favourite places around, and then there's no one place that you feel like anybody has to come to all the time to, but then it's also nice, if nice is the right word, to go and visit the gravestones where and to know you belong, because where I live, like both my sets of grandparents are buried, and I can go and visit their gravestones, I can go and visit the graveyards, and it's where they lived and near where they live, and it's kind of nice to go and reflect every now and again and kind of be with that. But then if I moved away, then I wouldn't be able to do that. But if I was like scattered all over the place in my favourite places, then if anybody I know goes there, then they'll know I was there too, that my atoms are there in some way. So I don't know which way to. But the thing I have with that is then it's all that energy that you use to cremate you. I'm like, I'd rather just be them put in the ground really and have a tree growing out of me.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't really fully.
I think everyone's got a completely different
Yeah.
sort of take on things. It's really interesting, but it's good. I think it's good to talk about.
Yeah.
Like Paul has changed his mind about something, and I can't remember who we were talking to. I think it was his brother, in fact, and he came out with this changed sight, and I was like, "Oh, when did you decide?" He said, "Oh." I was like, "Well, you need to tell me.
Yeah.
I would be still putting you at the old side." So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes it's like tempting fate. You know, when you talk about it, it's like making that plan. It feels like, you know, in the soap operas, if someone was pregnant and they bought the cot, then you knew it wasn't going to end well. So, do you know what I mean? It's like one of those things that it's like feels like it's tempting fate by talking about it, but at the end of the day, it's going to happen to us all. And
It's the only
it's
certain
inevitable, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the inevitability of it that really sticks, like gets me stuck with it sometimes. But
And I think if you don't talk about it, nobody'd know what to do with you, would they?
Mhm.
You know,
I
wouldn't.
don't see it as a negative or I because of my beliefs, I completely see it as just a transition. You know, so I don't feel any particular way about it. But it is really interesting.
It is. It's one of the like big taboos that is still, because we don't normalise talking about it. I do know somebody who does. It is normal and healthy because they have like a priest or a vicar in the family, and it's something that's talked about because they regularly deal with this with their parishioners, so it's something that's seen as like quite healthy, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's quite a good idea, that it's just a normal everyday topic, so it's not like, ooh, it's the big D word or anything, so I think it is healthy to talk. It's the D word. The D word.
I was watching I was watching a film the other day, and this girl arranged for her sister to go on a blind date, and she's like, I don't want to go, and she went, you need the D, and she went, I need some vitamins, and she went, yeah, vitamin D.
I think I watched the same movie because it wasn't it Bridget Jones. I think
No, that was a different. This was on Netflix. I watched Love Summit. It was proper cheesy and romantic, but it was really funny. Yeah. So when you said that the D word.
Nope.
A different one. Did you go to see Bridget Jones?
Yes.
Oh, I loved it. I cried.
I haven't
I
been to
laughed.
see.
Have you not Oh,
I've read the books.
Right,
I've read the books, so
There
it's
were
not
8 of
spoilers.
us, 8
Yeah.
ladies. We all sat in a row. Some were laughing, some were crying, some were sat. It was just lovely.
yeah.
We absolutely enjoyed
Oh,
it.
go see it,
I
Aisha.
thought,
It's
yeah,
really good.
I'm definitely going to see. I want to see all the films, like rewatch them again, but I just
Yeah.
haven't got round to it yet. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I
do.
loved the books when I read I was that person who would. I was single at the time, and I was away with work, and I was sat in the restaurant on my own in an evening reading Bridget Jones. I was like, how much of a cliche am I? But laughing out loud. It was just, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love the books.
It's really good. So we won't say anything because other people might not have seen it either.
Not spoil it for anybody
No,
else,
it's
but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is lovely. Yeah.
She's lovely,
I
isn't
was
she?
sat next to, so I went with my friend. She wasn't crying or anything. And then the lady next to me, who I didn't know, she was. And I kept thinking, hold it in, hold it in, hold it in. But I could hear her. And then I was like, and then that was it. And we were both, because none of us had tissues, we were like, on our sleeves. And her friend sat next to her wasn't crying.
Looking at you going through there.
We were both like, oh. But yeah.
I cry when other people cry because
Yeah.
it sets me off because I'm, this is
Yeah.
really sad that you're crying.
That's what it's like. Yeah, it's good. Go see it.
Oh.
Really good. Yeah, it was nice. So we've done full
So,
circle there, haven't
From
we?
breath, from death. Wait, what did we start with?
Like the kind of sunshine and
Yeah,
happiness
yeah.
and flowers coming
Bulbs and
out.
flowers, to death, to
Takeaways.
takeaways, to Bridget Jones.
And vitamin D. Vitamin D from the sun.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We all need
Yeah.
vitamin D.
Unless you're a lesbian, Cindy.
But you still need the sunshine.
You need the sunshine. I was talking about the sunshine. Oh, gosh. Right. So, yeah. So, death
Yeah.
and then renewal.
Yeah.
Good
Wouldn't it be
dryness.
lovely to plant a whole lot of bulbs on top of you? Chuck a whole lot of bulbs in with you wherever you got buried. Like literally.
Yeah, and they'd all come up. I spent loads of money on bulbs last year. Some really
Would they come up
gorgeous
in
ones.
a human shape?
I don't know. Yeah, imagine that. You could.
Oh, I have seen a
couldn't
meme where somebody says, "Well, I know I'm going to die. I'm going to eat a load of acorns," and then just have like this tree
yeah.
raising out of the ground. It came with a cartoon of like this skeleton impaled on this trunk raising out of the ground.
That's funny.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah.
Yeah, all my bulbs got killed last year. They got eaten by slugs, ranunculus, anemones, all. Oh my God! I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna have the most beautiful yard. Not one
I
came
wonder
up.
what you can do to stop
I
them.
think
because
they
you
go
don't
through
know,
years as well
Buggers.
of good flowers and then
I only planted them last year. No, they were all they grew about that big, and then they were just eating slimy little weasels. They are.
coffee grinds is
doesn't work.
It's worked for my mint plant because I got lazy one day and just like shoved the coffee grind, like swilled it round with water and then just chucked it over the plant and it went over the leaves and went, oh, and I was like, oh well, never mind. They were the only leaves that didn't get eaten.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So it was like, sorry mint plant, but
That's funny, isn't
Because
it?
I've chucked coffee all round. Because I try and grow chrysanthemums and snails and slugs love
Yeah.
them. And I've got slugs as long as that in my garden. They're huge with a lovely orange frill around their bum. Nothing worked.
They're annoying.
yeah. I've got those slugs in my garden and no word of a lie, they are that big when they're like gathered up. I kind of think they're a bit, they're supposed to be endangered.
You keep saying that.
possibly as well.
They're not.
They're-
I've got thousands in my garden.
They're not endangered in my garden.
I sure
but yeah.
always goes,
Big
they're
ones.
endangered. I'm like,
Sure they
no, they're not. Come round mine with a torch at 10 o'clock. Hundreds of them.
Have you looked at them close up? They're full of little mites all crawling all over. I just think, oh, you dirty little bastards. Get out of my garden. But I love snails.
Yeah.
But they're just like homeless snails, aren't they?
Yeah. And
Badger, get off there.
slugs without a home.
Badger, come
Bless
on.
them.
Come off there.
Come. Badger, come. Come on.
I like those. I think they're a pretty colour as well. Like they're kind of brown, and then they have like a chocolatey brown head, and then like the little tentacles. So really
The
deep
snails
brown.
or slugs?
Slugs. Not a fan in general, but I can appreciate that they have a part to play.
I collect them every night. I collect them, scoop them. Then I walk down the road, dump them all down.
I think you've got to go 2 miles because
Yeah,
they
they
can.
have
I
a
think
They
it's
memory
a
and they
mile or
smell,
something.
can't
yeah,
But-
they can come back.
I cross the A6 and then I go. So I take them across the A6. I
So
doubt
we
they're
have
going
to cross
make.
the A6 to get back.
They're not coming back. They're not coming back. But I take them to a lovely little streamy place. I think there's plenty there for you. Crack on. But it isn't a mile. It isn't a mile.
I'm hoping that the frogs are bigger this year, so they'll eat more of them.
Yeah.
We was walking Badger the other night, down by the river, and it was quite dark, and then something moved on the floor, and he went mad. We were like, what is it, what is it? And I looked down by my foot, and it was this massive frog. It was huge. And I love frogs, but because it was dark and it was like, I went, oh my God, what is it, what is it? And Tom was like, I think it's a frog. I was like, oh. But yeah, it was massive. He was trying to get it. He didn't like it
It
at
wasn't
all.
a toad.
No,
The
it was
biggest
a frog.
frog, girls. Okay, story. I used to teach at a big boarding school on the East Coast, and everything on the East Coast is quite big. I'm teaching at a boarding school. Again, no street lights and that. We're on. It was the only school in the Eastern Cape that has a nature reserve on its premises. So it's part of a nature reserve, but it's a wildlife school that I used to teach at. So I'm walking every night because I didn't have a television. So I walk sort of just across the road, like to the next part of the houses where the sanatorium sister lives, because she's got a telly and she's on her own. So every night, go across, take a bucket of bookies, and I'd watch TV and we'd talk nonsense, and then I'd come back to my room. So we'd been watching TV. It was fairly late at night, and I'm walking back, and it's just sort of like a slabbed pathway, and in the distance I see this shadow. I think, oh, it's the other sanatorium sister's cat. That's how large it was. When I got close, because it's pitch dark, you can't see anything, and it didn't move off, because the cat would normally run off. It didn't move, and then I went with my foot. It was fat frog.
Oh my God.
No word of a lie. It was like that. In the pathway. But then snails, they're probably the sort of foot of the snail would be that big, and the shell of the snail would be that big.
Are they like them big
conical ones.
land snails? Are they
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah. Everything was big.
There was somebody that shared a reel recently, and there was like some eating a lettuce, and it was like you could see their mouths going. It must have been like done in fast speed, but it was like, right, I was like, oh, you're
They're
really
cute. They are cute. They are
Yeah.
cute.
I videoed one. It was stuck to the kitchen window, and
I saw that.
yeah, and you could see its mouth all moving into. Oh, it was the weirdest thing. Yeah, it's funny. But I've seen a microscopic up close picture of them. Oh my God, they look evil. They've got like old nasty things. And earthworms. Have you ever seen an earthworm magnified? All the time I'm like, let's pick you up off the floor and put you in the soil.
Worms all the time.
Oh my God, if you saw the mouths, oh, it's like they've got all these sharp, gnashy things.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Is
weird.
it like the worms from June? Have you seen June?
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's apparently what the future holds.
Worms.
Oh.
If the June is to be believed. Like, oh,
What
yeah.
about spiders in South Africa, Cindy? Are they massive and all?
Some of them can be. I think that I had a Bobian spider as a pet, and that's about that big.
As a pet.
As a pet. And I had a rain spider called Arthur. He only had 7 legs. And rain spiders are probably also about that big. That's probably the biggest. I don't know if you get bigger than that. Sometimes in the garden, literally, you'll be like clearing up leaves and...
No. Earwigs. Can't stand that because
I don't
Wild
mind
house
them
got
if I know
loads
where
of them.
they are, but when they surprise you like that,
Yeah.
the scariest thing. Well,
Oh.
the most I've had lots of encounters with snakes, but I was at the same nature reserve school, so I was doing extra meals in the afternoon. I was coaching a small group of children tennis, but to do sort of some talking and demonstrations and whatnot, I sat them under a tree because it was shady and it was a hot afternoon, so I sat them in the shade to talk to them about what we were going to do and how to do a front, forward and back, whatever. And as I was talking, a couple of the kids, I could just see their eyes getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there was this, what we call a boomslang, tree snake, a green one coming down. And as I realised that something was happening by the reaction in the faces, it sort of came into the peripheral vision. And they sort of, you know, when you've watched a thing and then it went up past. I was like, But that was quite scary. I've been digging in the garden, and the snakes come up from under a thing at my face as well. That was
Ooh.
quite, yeah.
I prefer snakes to spiders.
Not when they're big cobras.
Well, no. I mean, I don't want either, but if I had to
Yeah.
pick, I think I'd pick a
I had a
snake over
cobra
a
that lived in my
spider.
garden permanently, and you never knew where it was. But eventually the dogs would start going and just this deep low growl, and then I'd know, get inside.
Yeah.
It's somewhere close. But
really
my
good that you
biggest
have
thing was get the dogs in, because I lost a dog. But the dog was protecting me
Ah.
from the snake. And she just had babies, so
Oh, what a shame.
yeah. But she permanently lived in my garden. 3. Our brews are through, the battery's dead. Let's hear from you about what we've said. See you next time.
See you next time.
Don't forget, like and subscribe as well.
Oh, yes.
And then if you want to pop over to our Patreon page, we've got lots of new grimoire pages coming out for March, some lovely ones that we've designed. And of course, there is the buy a coffee option if you've enjoyed the video, just to support us in our further videos and interviews.
Yeah. And tell a friend, gather the women.
Gather the woman,
Hello, women.
grow the community. Lovely. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.